Hi and welcome to Emergination. My name is Susanna Westwood. I'm the founder of Emergination. And I'm so glad once again guys that you could spend some time with us. We have got an amazing guest for you today and it affects everybody from all over the arts. So whether you're a musician, singer, dancer, choreographer, a film director, an artist or a fashion designer, whatever your art is, this affects us all. And so today we're going to really be talking about how to deal with self-confidence and having that kind of inner belief in yourself and how to kind of work through some of those issues. So we are live here again at Walsall Studio School, and I hope this is going to be a really insightful time for you guys, that you can really take that time to listen to what it is that you desire, what it is that you want from your career, but also work through some of this stuff that kind of hinders us, because I know it has done for me. So I'm hoping that you get loads out of this. So I'm going to introduce an amazing friend of mine, Brecht. Welcome to Emergination.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. I am really excited. Honestly, I've been so excited all day to have this conversation with you because I love what you do. I really do. And I think it's absolutely, completely essential to artists and how we operate and how we can kind of get over ourselves, because we're sensitive souls as artists. We kind of have a few issues. So we're kind of like, right.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Well, that's true. That is true. So I think this is going to be a really insightful conversation. So when I'm asking questions, I'm really asking for myself. This is might be a bit of a selfish interview, I'm sorry, but I'm hoping this will be relevant. So guys, if any of you got any questions, you know, you're here to kind of answer them.
Yes, please do.
Awesome. So to start off with, can you tell us who you are and tell us a bit about what you do?
Obviously my name's Brett Mamberley. I'm a psychological coach, and I also have another company called Intercoach, and I'm the CEO and founder of that.
Awesome.
Being a psychological coach, I work with a completely different array of people, from people in prison to people on the outside of prison. I work with abused children. I also work with celebrities, Premier League footballers. So really, you can work with a lot of people.
That is so diverse.
It really is.
I love that.
So, and from when I first started my training, I really made it possible so I could really get into everybody's world, different walks of life, different age groups. So yeah, that's what I did.
I love that. I love that. So how long have you been working in this industry as a psychology coach?
For about 10 years now. Yeah,
awesome.
10 years, which has been absolutely amazing. I've learned so many things about myself, so many things about other people. Yeah. You know, what people do to overcome things, what we don't do to overcome things.
Yes, avoidance and all that
yeah,
stuff.
massive avoidance, avoidance tactics, which I learned from myself as well. Yeah. And I've learned a lot about myself as well as other people, and the areas that I suffered with, should I say, and the self-esteem that I had early doors as well. Because people assume you're a psychological coach, a psychologist, you're a therapist. Oh, you're all right. You don't suffer from these things. Every single day. Of course we do. Of course we do. It's just knowing how to overcome that, how to move forward with that.
That's awesome. So what kind of, just to kind of find a bit about you before we go into some of the stuff that we really want to talk about, but what kind of training and stuff did you have to do? Because I know our first meeting, I was so excited because I heard about where you trained to do a lot of your, is it behavioural?
Yes, it was micro expressions and communication, so it's a lot of body language and communication.
Yeah, I'm never going to lie to you, ever.
If anyone's ever seen Lie to Me with Tim Roth, that's what I studied. Yeah. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I think so. I love this stuff.
Susanna's there going,
panic. I love it.
It's kicking in.
Yeah, totally. So you studied in that, and then you trained as...
I initially trained as a therapist, so I went into cognitive behaviour therapist, into psychology, into hypnotherapy, into neurolinguistics, into body language, into micro-expressions, deception detection, and obviously coaching, which is the areas kind of I do a lot around now with the people I work with, which is really it's solution based. So I always like solution. Yeah, it's all right looking back. I like to look forward. I like to keep moving forward, and that's where I kind of base my career on now. That's what I enjoy. That's what I'm better at.
That's perfect. I love that. And you said that you run a company called Intercoach. Could you
just
quickly talk about that? And I know we're going to talk about it in more detail a bit later about what you're creating, which is very exciting. But what's that kind of...
Intercoach is another company that I started up because, early doors, I was a psychologist, therapist. I didn't really have a lot of dealings with business, and because of the process of doing my business, what I've got now, I decided to start another company and trying to help people online through coaching, through their problems, through their issues. So you can do it 24/7, so you haven't got to rely on just your coach or your therapist. There's something there to, late at night, a lot of my clients, just to offload, just to ask a question, just to tell, know where you want to go, just to offload, and this is there.
That's really key for, I mean, we are going to talk about this a bit later, but that's really key, especially for artists. I don't know about you, but I work better at night at being all creative, and that's just what I do. And so a lot of the stuff that I'll be dealing with can come out in the evening, which is interesting. So this is cool. I love this. It's really exciting. Okay, so the reason I kind of got you here is because I was like, I really want to have a conversation with you about, you know, the issues that all emerging artists face. And hugely, time and time again, I get asked about, well, how do you deal with, you know, your lack of self-confidence? How do you deal with your inner belief? So, you know, for you and your experience of working with people, so what is it, you know, how does, I suppose, low self-esteem show up in people's behaviours? What does that look like? We can kind of see it and we know what it feels like, but what have you observed? And then also just kind of looking at, well, how do we deal with that as emerging artists, as anybody, but if we relate it to us as artists now. So yeah, there's two-sided.
I often get asked that. It's an interesting question because it's one of them hurdles that a lot of people don't get over.
Yeah.
Some do, you know, we should go on to do amazing, great things, and some need help too. And in my early days, I always thought that when I started training, I thought that it was just somebody had confidence or they didn't.
Yeah.
I really did. Until now, I realise you can actually learn it. It's a skill that you can just, you know, you can just nurture and help along. Now, some of the people I have worked with, not to mention any names, but that's one of the issues. Even at the top of their game, you know, the A-listers, they're still at the top of the top of their game, and still, everyday confidence, self-esteem. These issues remain, they always will, but it's how they deal with them, and that's what, you know, as a psychological coach, that's what we do, we try and work with them. Now, again, confidence, it's, people always say to me, how can you get more confident?
Yeah.
Where do you get your confidence from? Hey, help me, please, help me. Whether it be a footballer taking a penalty, whether it be a singer, songwriter, actor, where can I get my confidence to believe in myself? They answered it right there. You've got to start believing in yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go back a little bit. Years and years ago, 10 years ago, before I even got into this area, I was an electrician.
I love that.
Now,
the changing career, I love it.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah. But the reason why I tell you this is because, wait, can you imagine my confidence there? Electrician, then all of a sudden starting to be a psychologist.
Yeah. Huge jump.
It's massive, absolutely massive. And it was a jump that, again, you know, my friends was around me, you're nuts, you're crazy, you need to be sectioned. And one of the biggest things I had to learn there was protect my mind in order to move forward. And what would that have done to my confidence if I didn't protect my mind? Yeah. So some of your artists out there, I mean, I can imagine, you know, some of the people I've worked with, they talk about their early days. Yeah. And it was, oh, you can't do this, you're not good enough, your voice doesn't carry, you can't do it, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too tall, you're too small.
Yeah, totally.
And these celebrities now, these artists, some listen to it in the early days. It's hard not to with human beings. You know, we're going to listen to it. Yeah. But it's how we overcome that. Yeah. Now, some of the things that we do with these artists, and I have done in the past with myself as well, so I know how these work. Yeah. You've got to know exactly what you want to do. Let's be honest. I mean, yourself, you've got to know exactly what you want to do. Right. How you're going to do it. But most importantly, you've got to know who you are. Yeah. Inside and out. Yeah. One of the big, it is so important, it really is, because if you don't know who you are, what direction you're going in, you're quite open to it. And, you know, I always think of it as a cup of coffee. Okay. Cup of coffee. If there's a cup of coffee on the side, you wouldn't let anybody walk past and put any poison in it. If you didn't take sugar, you wouldn't let anybody walk past and put sugar in it, because you'd be like, ugh. And I use that metaphor, metaphor really for your mind, because just don't let anybody put anything in there that can damage you. That's
actually a really good idea. Like, I love this. This is why I knew our conversation would be good, because you do and you listen. And I know when I've gone into the universities and I've talked to some of the emerging artists, they're all going, yeah, well, maybe I'll go into teaching and I'll do this. And I'm like, that's all good if that's what you really want to do, but is that really what you want to do? Or is that what your parents have asked you to do, or you think you should do, or your friends have told you to do? And it's that kind of like, well, what do you really want to do, first and foremost? But like you say, just not letting anybody else put those things in, so that you can kind of go, right, this is who I am and what I love that. That's awesome. I love that.
Again, a complete correlation with a lot of the artists and a lot of the people I work with. what I found is really successful ones, and you know, they know exactly what they want, and they haven't got a plan B. I have a little saying, it says, if you have a plan B, it's because you don't believe in your plan A.
Right. Oh, I love this.
You've got to get your plan A, and you've got to take it there. I mean, I think it was Will Smith that said what one day in one of his interviews. He just said, you know, if there's two guys, you know, one for both the same part, Will Smith's going to win, or the other guy's going to die trying, because Will Smith is not going to get off that treadmill. He's going to be there 24/7 doing it, and that's one of the things I've found with a lot of the people I've worked with.
So do you think then, because hearing that, I'm going, well, he must have such drive and determination, but it's that inner belief, isn't it? And getting to that point of like really truly believing in yourself, that's hard work, I find, because I still have days, and even I was listening to an interview with Kylie Minogue, I think it was at the weekend, I was watching something, and she was sat, and she said, I was just about to go into a recording session with Pharrell, and she sat in tears on the step before going to, and this is Kylie Minogue, who's got multi-awards, and I'm like, if she's still struggling, if she's at the top of her game, then, you know, it's kind of exhale a little bit. It's okay that we all struggle, but it's finding that inner belief again, and that you know, that inner strength, I suppose, in that way. But
yeah, and again, to answer that question, again, a lot of people who I've worked with, and myself included with that as well, I was told what to do. And again, same as a lot of the artists I work with, told what to do, told how to do it, told when to do it, who to be, what to say, what not to say, and what are things to make it easier for that belief to be yourself. You know your craft, you know how good you are, you know what to do, else you wouldn't be in that place in the first place. Believe in yourself. I know it's hard, it really is, because every day, I mean, I teach this stuff, but there's them days that I'm thinking to myself, why am I doing this? Who am I? Who am I to teach these people? Who am I to help these people?
We had this conversation last week, didn't we? I have to smile, because me and Brett had this phone conversation. We're like, right, yeah, I'm having a bad day today. Yeah, me too. What's like? Oh, well, I'm just really struggling believing in myself. And it's like, you can still be working on stuff and doing it and still be struggling. But it's about, for me, I don't know whether you feel the same, but for me, it's like, even though I feel this stuff, I'm going to do it anyways, regardless of what I'm feeling. Because actually, there's something deeper that I believe in, rather than it just being about how I feel today. And it could be just because I'm like tired or whatever, either hungover, either way. That kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly
kind of
what you mean.
Working through, but I know you feel the same. You have those same issues, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, most days, I mean, we were talking about this conversation last week, you know, a little mental breakdown where I want to phone my psychologist, because all psychologists have a psychologist, it's the way it works. A coach has a coach, has a coach, has a coach. But I think that does it for me, and again, a lot of the people I work with, they know exactly what they want. It's inevitable. I was doing this years ago in my head. It's inevitable. Everything that I do now has already happened in my head. And that's really helped me. I mean, I did a big public event last week, and in front of a lot of people. I did a couple actually in front of a lot of people, and one of my speeches was I was doing this in my head years ago.
That's amazing.
So
what do you mean by that? Like this is where we'll just go.
Visualisation. Visualisation.
This is a good tool to use for people.
Oh, massive! It's one of the. I swear by it, because it's really helped me with my career, and a lot of people who work with career, their visualisation.
So what is it, and how do we do it? This is what I want to know.
Visualisation, taking you back. When I was younger, what do I want to do? Artists, actors, musicians, footballers. What do you want to do? From a footballer, I want to be playing in Wembley. Musician, I want to be playing at Wembley.
Yeah, totally.
Actor, I want to be in Hollywood. So if you can go back there, and you can visualise these things, you're already there. You're already there every day. You're there in your head. It's inevitable. So you kind of become that. You play that part. You become that person. You start doing them. You start acting out them roles. You start meeting the people in that arena. And that sounds mad, because one of the other things that to be part of what we're part of, you've got to be a bit crazy as well. You have. Because you've got to keep going. You know, when your mum and dad say to you, "Go and get a job. Come on, get a job."
Totally.
Which, you know, again for me and a lot of the people I've worked with, get a real job. You know where you stand when you've got a job. You know where you stand. You know where you stand. You know, when you're self-employed or you're trying to get to become an artist. You know, broke. That's the way it works. And just accept it. Accept it, and that's fine. That's all right. Fine. But if you know where you stand, it's easy to move forward. And you know, again, a terminology. An aeroplane's coming down to the, you know, a big fighter jet's been hit and it's coming down to the floor. Now, a lot of these fighter jet pilots will eject. Eject. As soon as there's been a sign of trouble, eject. What I found with some of the people I've worked with, well, say some, majority of them, and myself included in that, and obviously you as well.
Yeah, there's days.
There's no eject button. I don't want to eject. I took it out. There's no eject, but there's no plan B.
Yeah, no.
Because you've got to, you know, people have said to me, people have said to my artists, people have said to some of the clients that I work with, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. Hell yeah, you can. You can do it and you can move forward. But by taking that eject button, your plan B out, it's inevitable.
Yeah, I love that.
You have an A and that's it.
I really love that. I'm not getting a little, that's so true. Because I think society and practically, like we've talked about, my big passion for emerging artists, and I talk about this all the time when I go and do talks, is that I don't want anybody to hit 5-6 years down the line, and this is what happened to me. And I just went, I haven't reached where I want to be. I'm so flipping frustrated. I don't know what I'm doing here. And I wasn't at that plan A. I took plan B. In fact, I think I took plan C or D. I'd gone right down to the alphabet. It was like, what am I doing? And because you're told, and maybe some of it's to please your parents, some of it's to please your peers and your friends and the things you need, but in your heart of hearts, you're so flipping frustrated. And I really don't want emerging artists to have that feeling, like, because, or one, it does the big driving force afterwards when you want to create change, but you get so stuck in being comfortable when you get a proper job and I hate the terminology, but do you know what I mean? Because you get stuck in this kind of rut and it's like, no guys, come on, go for the thing that's the most scariest. And that's what it is. It's the stuff that scares the living bejeebers out
you. You have to be a bit crazy.
I love it though, I love it. So when it comes to visualization, because I do this too and I think it's awesome, how do I practically, if we break it down for someone that's never done it before and they're going, right, okay, I'm going to be a singer or I'm going to be an artist, they sit down and what do they do? How do they visualize? What practically do they just, is it sit and close their eyes and think of themselves there? Do they feel it? What kind of experiences can they help to get them there, if that makes sense?
Everybody's really different because, you know, there's people learn differently, they visualise things differently. Now, a lot of the people I work with in the arts industry, they have this ability to have all, they can hear it, they're there, they can pretend to walk on stage in their head, they can sing, they can just close their eyes and hear everything's loud, everything's booming, everyone's shouting their name. And I always encourage this as well, because them dark days when you think to yourself, oh, I can't do this, they're the days that get you through it. They really are. And that again, taking away your plan B, because how easy is it to get a job? I'll say, how easy is it to get a job?
I struggle right now, but I know what you mean.
But compared to, you know, again,
living the dream is hard.
Living the dream is hard, but it's worth it. And again, going back to my story, if I had just settled, because I could have settled, I had children. Yeah,
I was going to say, I know, like obviously I know it's different sphere, but it's the same feelings, because we've talked about this, going from one career completely different to the next. You've got kids, you had staff, didn't you? You had like huge amounts of staff working for you. You had very well paid. I remember this conversation, I'm going, oh my gosh, and everybody would have said to you, what on earth are you doing? That is crazy.
They actually said I was crazy.
Sorry, I've interrupted
That's
you.
Right. They actually thought you know, they were absolutely off my rocker. They tried to get me committed. My parents tried to get me committed.
No,
seriously. They thought I was crazy. Who, in their right mind, would chuck a big house, nice cars, money every week, what some people say, living the dream, a great job, in order to just knock it all on the head, give it all away to live my dream. Yeah. But you know what? That time, I remember going back to that time, and again, got the hairs back of my neck, even thinking about it, was the fear of not doing what I wanted to do.
Totally.
Because if I look back now, the fear of not doing it was worse than living through that. Because it wasn't great when I first started. It wasn't great. It was hard work. But the fear of not doing it, and I call it the armchair. Yeah. Look to your left, and you can see yourself as a 70, 80-year-old person.
I always do that. That's my biggest motivator. I swear people think I'm crazy, but I'm like, if I get to 70, 80, I may not have a rocking chair, but I quite like the thought of it. But you know, what would I look back and go, what would I hope I've achieved? And if I haven't looked back and gone, flip me, it's been a wicked roller coaster ride, then I don't feel I've lived the life that I've meant to have lived. So is it the same for you?
Exactly
Is that what you
the same, and the hard times, and I mean, I'm really talking hard times. I had no money, and I had children. It was really hard for me, but I knew there was an end goal, and you know why? Because I could see it.